This whole explainer kicked off because of one simple, but honestly, really profound question that gets to the core of a fear a lot of people have. So, someone new to the whole Linux world posted this online, and it's a fantastic question that gets right to the heart of the matter. Is it really safer to put all your trust in one massive company like Microsoft, or is it scarier to trust a decentralized community of hundreds, maybe thousands of individual developers? To really figure this out, we've got to understand that we're not just comparing two operating systems here. Nope. We are comparing two completely different philosophies when it comes to security. And here's how you can think about it. On one side, you have Windows, which is like a fortress. It's built by one company, it has high walls, the gates are closed, and its security comes from secrecy, from obscurity. Then you have Linux, which is much more like a community watch. Everybody can see what's going on, and the security comes from having many, many eyes on the lookout for trouble. And this quote from Mr. Pew Pew on YouTube just nails it. It's the core of that whole community watch idea. Because Linux is open source, literally anyone, from a top-tier security expert to just a curious student, can look at the code for problems. And when something is found, a whole global community can jump in to fix it. With Windows, you are completely dependent on Microsoft's internal teams finding and patching those exact same kinds of vulnerabilities. Okay, so this community watch sounds great, but what does it actually look like in practice? Well, it all comes down to a concept that's known as the chain of trust. See, for most Linux users, you don't just go download programs from random websites. Instead, the software goes through this whole pipeline. An author writes the code, sure, but then a package maintainer, someone who is known and trusted by the Linux distribution, prepares it. And then the distribution's core team often reviews it again before it ever shows up in the official software center or the repository that you download from. It's a whole system built on layers of personal reputation and verification. Now, just compare that for a second to the way things usually work on Windows. You go to a website, you click a download link for an exe file, and you run it. In that moment, all of the responsibility for checking if the site is legit, if the file's been messed with, if the author is trustworthy, all of that falls completely on you. But, and this is a big but, that chain of trust isn't a silver bullet. The person who originally asked the question pointed to a perfect real-world example, the Ledger crypto hack. If even one person in that chain, a developer, a maintainer, gets compromised, maybe through social engineering or just getting their account hacked, they can inject malicious code, and that whole system of trust can fall apart. All right, let's switch gears for a minute. There is another huge piece of this puzzle that has less to do with how the code is written and a lot more to do with simple, boring numbers, market share. I mean, when it comes to desktop computers, the numbers really do speak for themselves. It's not even a contest. Windows is the undisputed giant, holding about 3/4 of the entire market, while Linux is just this tiny sliver. So put your hacker hat on for a second. If you're writing malware, what do you want? You want the biggest return on your investment, right? You're going to target the platform where you can infect the most machines and cause the most chaos. And overwhelmingly, that platform is Windows. This effect actually has a name, and it's kind of funny: security by irrelevance. The idea is not a big part of why Linux is so safe on the desktop isn't necessarily because its design is superior, but simply because it's too small and fragmented for most attackers to even bother with. So we've looked at the technical models, we've looked at the market realities, but as you dig through what everyone is saying, it becomes super clear that the biggest security factor, it isn't the operating system at all. And this is it. This is probably the single most important takeaway from this whole thing. Security isn't some feature you can turn on or a product you can just install. It is a set of habits. It's a culture of paying attention that you, the user, have to practice every single day. Because at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter if you're on Windows or Linux. A reckless user on a super secure Linux system is way more vulnerable than a careful user on a standard Windows machine. Ultimately, the most powerful and also the most vulnerable security layer is sitting right there between the keyboard and the chair. So we end up right back where we started, but with a totally new perspective. The debate isn't really about which system is unhackable, because spoiler alert, nothing is. It's about which model you prefer. Do you trust the sealed fortress built and guarded by one company? Or do you prefer the community watch, where transparency is the main defense and where you are an active, responsible part of your own security? The choice, really, is yours.